Howdy, I'm Bob Terry, and let's talk a little bit about The Adventures of Kit Carson. The Adventures of Kit Carson was a wonderful television show that aired from 1951 to 1955. It starred Bill Williams as Kit Carson and Don Diamond as his sidekick El Toro. Now, Bill Williams' character in this show takes a lot of liberties with Kit Carson. And these were fictional exploits about a real-life person. Kit Carson was a scout and a mountain man, and quite an interesting, colorful character. But these are all fictional exploits, and it's a show really made for kids. It was a wonderful television show, and there seems to be a little bit of litigation depending where you go on whether there's 103 or 104 episodes of The Adventures of Kit Carson. So far, I think all I've found is 103. But if somebody out there has the 104th episode, please let me know. This fantastic half-hour, fast-paced action show was sponsored by Coca-Cola. And you can actually find some wonderful vintage Coca-Cola commercials with Bill Williams in them. We appreciate you stopping by here. Hope you'll take a look at all our westerns we've got here on the website, and we hope we'll see you again on down the trail. And if you'd like to, shoot us an email or leave a comment on the website. Westerns on the Web, your home for free, classic, family-friendly Western television shows and movies. We'll see you after the show.
Why all the finery, El Toro?
Well, I tell you, Kit, while you're checking up on the Owens case in Vacaville, I'm going to attend a wedding there.
Whose wedding?
The charming Margarita Cordilla, former fiancée of mine.
You seem mighty happy that you're not taking the fatal step.
Si, seguro. Now tell me of this Senor Owen. I hear he has been sentenced to life imprisonment for killing his young foreman.
Yes, Sheriff Blaney is taking him to jail right now. Let's go.
That's Owen's horse. It can't be too far from here. Let's go.
Mrs. Owens?
Yes?
My name is Kit Carson.
Oh, I've heard of you, Mr. Carson. Won't you come in?
I've come to talk to you about your husband and see what could be done for him.
Oh, it's good of you to take an interest. But our attorney says there's not a thing we can do now that Dave's sentence has been upheld on appeal.
Judge Stanford had to uphold the conviction. He felt that there wasn't any error done by the lower court, but he also felt that justice has not been done. That's why he sent me here to check into the case.
My husband is not a murderer.
That's exactly the way the jury felt. That's why they let him off on a verdict of manslaughter.
And a sentence to prison for life.
I'd like to see the room where the shooting occurred.
Oh, certainly.
Oh, white faces.
So the ranchers call them. The true name, of course, is Herefordshire. My husband brought the first ones over from England.
And they're slowly taking the place of Longhorns all over the West.
Most of them are descended from Dave's stock. He built up a big herd and was selling them at good prices when he... Dave!
Back.
Oh, you're hurt.
Who are you?
My name is Kit Carson.
What are you doing here?
Checking up on your case for Judge Stanford.
Oh, that means you'll be taking me back.
Whenever you're able to travel.
Oh, please, Mr. Carson.
You'll be here for a day or two. Let's get that boot off while we're still able. Get me some bandages and some water.
I don't recall seeing that horse before. I wonder who's here.
Buyer for some of Dave's cattle, I hope.
Mag, where are you?
In the office.
Dave, how did you get here?
On a borrowed horse, but it won't be for long.
I have to take him back.
Mr. Carson is here to investigate Dave's case for Judge Stanford.
Well, that's very nice of the judge, although he did uphold Dave's conviction. Well, is there anything I can do to help? I am Dave's attorney, Sam Devlin.
Glad to know you, Mr. Devlin.
And this is my brother, Bob.
How do you do?
Howdy. What do you know about this matter, Bob?
Only what Dave told me.
There were no witnesses to the shooting.
I was sitting right here. I had called in my foreman, Bill Jordan. I told him that a checkup had just proved that about 100 head of my prize Herefords were missing from the range. And it wasn't the first time. I'd been suspicious for quite a while. When I accused him of stealing my stock, he went for his gun. I had mine ready and shot him. In self-defense.
Well, unfortunately, that didn't hold up in court.
Why not?
Jordan was shot in the back. You don't attack a man with your back turned.
His back wasn't turned.
Was that window open that day?
Yes, it was.
Where was Jordan standing?
Right over there in front of the window.
And if your bullet would have missed him, would have gone through that window, wouldn't it?
Yes, I suppose so.
And if a bullet had been fired through that window from the outside, it would have hit him in the back, wouldn't it?
All that was brought out in court. That and more.
Too much more.
All the evidence was faithfully presented.
All except one item.
What item?
100 missing head of Hereford.
We've only Dave's word for that. Actually, there were no missing cattle.
And why the shooting?
Jealousy. Mrs. Owens, a very attractive woman.
Let's leave my wife out of this.
Now, you see what I mean?
Yes, I do. But supposing Jordan was attended to Mrs. Owen and her husband resented it. A man could still fire a bullet through that window from the outside and hit Jordan in the back.
But who and why? No one but Dave had a reason to kill Jordan. That's where my defense broke down miserably.
Would you mind standing here, please? I'd like to have a look through that window from the outside.
Sure.
What did you find out there?
Something that might prove very interesting.
Well, goodbye, Carson. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Same here, sir.
Dave, you take care of yourself now. Remember, I'm doing everything I possibly can for you. There's just one thing that keeps me from going before the Supreme Court.
Money, I suppose.
Well, you have to post a $5,000 bond.
We can do it. We have 100 Hereford for sale. They'll bring $10,000.
As soon as we find a buyer. Now, don't lose hope, my dear.
I'll see you out, Sam.
much money have you paid your lawyer so far?
Only $1,000.
He's been very reasonable. Dave's case has taken months of his time.
During which time he could have been checking into those missing cattle.
I thought the case was settled once and for all when Judge Stanford upheld the conviction. Now he sends Carson.
Oh, play along with him. Can't run him off the ranch, you know.
What could he possibly have found outside that window?
Well, maybe something a man might drop by accident and not even notice it. Sulfur match, coin, button.
Evidence? To implicate us?
Well, if you dropped a button out there, that doesn't prove you dropped it when you shot that yellow-bellied Jordan. But as I told you, it was a mistake to kill him.
I had to before he owned up to those cattle deals.
Well, don't worry. We've got Dave on the way to the pen. Case is practically closed.
What if Carson did find new evidence? You said yourself that would get Dave a hearing in the Supreme Court.
Yes, and I can lose there the same way I lost in the lower courts. Now, don't worry. Carson won't cause us any trouble.
I'm not so sure. He keeps harping back to that 100 missing head.
And that's what I'm counting on. Now, you go inside and sell Carson on the idea of making his own tally.
Then he'll have evidence.
He'll never finish the tally. Mr. Carson's going on a one-way ride. Now, go on in. Do as I tell you.
Feeling any better, Dave?
Doesn't matter much, considering where I'm going when I'm well enough to travel again. There's only one thing keeps my chin up.
What's that?
Knowing that you'll be here to look after the place and take care of Margaret. I'll never forget it, Bob.
Where's Carson?
In the office.
Look, Dave, if he's trying to raise your hopes up all for nothing,
I'll take my chances.
Sure, Dave.
Here are the records. It'll be a simple matter for you to see how many head of stock we should have.
Say, Carson, why don't you make a tally while it's still daylight? You can check the books later.
Sounds like a pretty good idea. How do you keep your cattle?
Well, in 3 bands, with a man riding guard on each one night and day.
And those cattle couldn't have been rustled.
I tell you, there are none missing. Nobody in his right mind would steal a white face. It's still too scarce in California.
All right, suppose I make that tally now. Why don't you come along and show me where to look?
Well, the stock are all a few miles up the valley. You can't miss them.
All right, if you don't want to go, I'll go along.
Well, I'm sorry, but I have things to do here.
You'll be back in time for supper, won't you?
Yes, thank you very kindly.
Howdy, Counselor.
Hello, Sergeant Porter. Well, how's your squad drilling today?
That's not my name, and I ain't no army man.
The records say you were until you deserted.
Sounds like you looked me up.
No, that wasn't necessary. I just listened to your description. I'm a man whose job it is to bring in deserters. Kit Carson.
Is he around?
Oh, yes, very much so. He says you deserted under fire at the Battle of San Gabriel.
That's a lie.
You know the penalty, don't you? They do it with a rope.
Not to me, they won't.
Carson says he's going to bring you in, dead or alive. If you run out on him, you'll be running for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I reckon you're right. Well, I guess I'll have to face him sometime.
I knew you'd say that, Sergeant.
What's your hurry, Toro?
I came to tell you that this man of yours, this Senor Owen, he's escaped from the sheriff.
Thanks for the tip, but I've already got Owens in custody.
You captured this desperate killer alone?
Yes, and he was unarmed. And he's no killer.
Well, if he didn't shoot his foreman, who did?
Might have been his brother-in-law or even his attorney.
Why?
To cover up some crooked cattle deal. Toro, how would you like to own a herd of those new white faces?
Well, such fine animals are worth $100 apiece.
How much money do you have?
Yeah, after buying my new suit, $8 in silver and some few centavos.
And $10,000 in the bank?
What bank?
Banco C. Moneda of Lower California?
But even in the bank have no money. Where would El Toro get these $10,000?
From your vast holdings in Lower California, where you're a great ranchero.
Yes, fortunately, I look the part.
Your cattle graze from 100 hills.
Oh, valleys, amigo, unless they're very stupid cattle. But unfortunately, they're the lean, old-fashioned longhorns. But word has come to me of the wonderful new white faces, and I've come to buy, how many?
Oh, I'd say 50.
100. I can afford that many. And then?
And then we'll find out how these men work their crooked cattle deals.
You leave it to me. El Toro will not fail you.
There. The books are all ready for your friend Carson when he gets back.
And you'll go over them with him, of course.
I won't be here. I'm going to town.
But, Bob, you're the only one who can explain things. You've been running the ranch.
And now Carson's running it. I want to find out from Sam Devlin what right he has on the place at all.
But he came here only to help Dave.
And he seems to be the only one who's really trying. Bob, I've been talking things over with Meg, and we've reached the same conclusion. We've decided to change our legal advisor.
Are you out of your minds? You can't drop Sam.
I can and I will.
But, Dave, he's fought your case all the way through.
To a conviction and a life sentence.
Have you noticed, Bob, that Sam Devlin, who is supposed to have Dave's interest at heart, didn't even offer to help Mr. Carson with his investigation?
So you think an Army scout is going to do you more good than a trained lawyer? You're getting dumber by the minute.
Bob, don't talk that way to your sister.
I'm sorry, but she gets on my nerves. Who's that riding up? Well, what do you want?
Won't you come in, please?
Permit me to introduce myself. I'm Agustin Guzman de Calderon, a ranchero of Lower California.
Well, my name is Mason. It's my sister and her husband, Mr. and Mrs. Owen.
How do you do?
A pleasure, senora.
Forgive me for not getting up.
I have been hurt. It is my sincere hope that you will soon be your old self again.
Well, thank you.
Tell me, senor, are you not the owner of the Hereford cattle, those wonderful white faces that I need to improve my worthless stock of longhorns?
You've come to the right place. Step to the office and I'll show you our bloodlines.
Well, Bob, don't you think that
Look, Dave, you've been out of touch with things for quite a while, and I know what's up for sale. Now, don't worry, I'll take good care of Don Guzman. This way, senor?
You may not be able to travel, but you're quite able to talk to a buyer.
Well, let him go, Meg. He has something on his mind, and I want to find out what it is.
Yes, it's high time.
See, the Hereford is the coming breed of the world, because when they feed, they really work at it.
So fat and sleek, so lovely.
Oh, sure. They'll get fat on the range when other cattle stay lean.
So I have heard. But the question I am here to ask is, how many of these white faces can you sell me?
Well, how many do you want?
I have available at the moment a small amount of money, a mere $10,000 of your American money. But given time, I can transfer more from my bank in Mexico.
You have, 10,000 now? Well, that's a good-sized deal.
When could you make this delivery?
Well, right away, but on a deal this size, I'll have to have some legal advice. We'll ride into town and consult my lawyer. Hey, excuse me, just a moment. The deal's all set. I'm taking Don Guzman to town and close it.
You'll do nothing of the kind.
But, Dave, you need $5,000 for your bond if you're going to appeal again.
I can raise the money on this side of the border. I don't want my stock going into Mexico. That's tick country. The native stock is immune to tick fever. But these white faces aren't. They'll die and this man will lose his money. No, Bob. The deal is off.
I say it's on. How are you going to stop it? Sam Devlin still has your power of attorney. He'll sign a bill of sale.
I'll cancel my power of attorney.
Yeah? When? How? From behind prison bars?
Bob, if you go through with this, you needn't come back.
I don't intend to. I'm sick of this place. All the money poured into Dave's case and not enough left over to pay me day wages. I'm through. Shall we go?
Oh, but of course, after I say goodbye to Senor Owen and his wife.
Well, he's pretty well worn out and trying to rest. We'll just slip out the rear way here, huh?
Muy bien.
I'm sorry, dear.
But what's come over him? He was never like this before.
No. Only since the murder of Bill Jordan.
Oh.
Come on, Don Guzman. What are you waiting for?
I was looking to see if perhaps an old friend of mine was in town. When one is a stranger, it is good to see a familiar face.
Hello, Bob.
Sam, this is Don Guzman de Calderon from Lower California.
Of El Rancho Caliente, to be exact.
Sit down. Make yourself at home.
Gracias.
Now, what can I do for you?
Well, Don Guzman heard about the fine things we've been doing with our white faces and came up all the way from Mexico to find out for himself. Now he wants to buy a batch to improve his own stock.
It's a sensible decision.
You can draw up the usual papers.
Pleasure. How many were you intending to buy?
A small herd for the start, only 100.
He calls that a small herd. Why, that's more than we're prepared to sell.
You mean you cannot let me have even 100?
Well, we've only got about 50 head that are ready to stand a trail drive.
But I have coming up here the chuck wagon and the vaqueros to handle 100 head.
Now, don't worry, Don Guzman. I happen to have 50 head of that same strain of Hereford myself. I'll throw them in to complete the deal. Will that be satisfactory?
More than satisfactory, senor.
The only difference is that you'll sign 2 separate drafts, each for $5,000. One to David Owen and one to me, Sam Devlin.
But is that all right? Is that proper legally?
Oh, sure. We've made other deals like that before.
I ought to have a couple of drafts here. Oh, yes. Here they are, right here. There you are.
What is your favorite bank, senor?
The Adams Express Company, if you have funds in San Francisco.
I have money in San Francisco, the same as I have money in Mexico.
All right, Don Guzman. Now, as soon as these clear, you can pick up your Herefords at the ranch, complete with a bill of sale. You'll have to excuse me, sir,
That's what you think.
but I'm busy with Don Guzman.
With El Toro, you mean? He's a native Californian and Kit Carson's partner.
Get Carson's partner.
What did he hope to gain by writing worthless drafts?
To find out how we've been operating. Supposing I deposited these drafts. 5,000 to you and me, 5,000 to your brother-in-law, but all of the stock delivered from his herd.
Hurry up, Devlin. I haven't got all day.
What did you want?
Money, and plenty of it. I'm getting out of this part of the country.
No, you're not. You're staying put. All of you. Porter, there were only 2 men who knew I was up at the Owens Ranch, and both of them are here. Which one of them put you up to kill me?
Well, what did you expect me to do? Let you take me in for desertion?
I could have taken you in any time. I wanted to give you a fresh start.
Yeah? Then what'd you come after me for?
I didn't come after you. I came to make a tally on those cattle that you were herding.
So you lied to me.
That's all I wanted to know. Turn around, Devlin. And now you, Bob. Did you and your lawyer sell any of the Owens cattle today?
No.
Then what happened to the cattle buyer I sent up to the ranch?
What buyer?
El Toro, my partner.
I don't know anything about him.
You should. His horse is out at the hitch rack outside. Turn around. You too, Porter.
You stay here, Toro.
All right, men, that's as far as you go.
Just one more question. Why did Bob confess after covering up for so long?
He seemed to think I had some evidence against him.
What did you pick up under the window?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Oh, you did it just to worry Devlin and Bob.
To prod him into action. My time is short.
Time? Caramba, that reminds me, I'm late for the wedding. You'll excuse me, please.
I can't think of a better reason.
Good day. Bless you.
Adios.
Thanks for making me a free man again and master of my reins.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Carson.
I really hope you enjoyed The Adventures of Kit Carson, starring Bill Williams and Don Diamond. And it's all brought to you free by our Toy Gun Town website, www.toyguntown.com. Come by and shop with us. We've got a lot of Western items there for you to see. Lots of Western toys, some fantastic American-made toys. Come on by and see us. I'm Bob Terry. We hope to see you again on down the trail. Have a great day.